Welcome back to the Trailkings podcast. This is episode 5. Today we're going to be talking about the trips we plan on trying to take in 2023. Stick around to the end and we'll list our top 6 places. We're trying to narrow down to 3.
Oh. Da-na-na-na-na.
Now, like we said in the last episode, we have a list of 50 plus locations that we're just slowly trying to chip away at. And when we say trips for 2023, this is not all the riding that we're doing. This is just the trips we're trying to plan together. We at least try to do 2 to 3 trips a year with our families together. So outside of that, obviously we'll take independent trips and go to new locations. Another thing, one of the criteria we're looking at is going to a new state also and try to just expand that experience and visit the United States essentially through riding parks. And so I'll start off with one. I've actually been to this one before, but I think it'll be fun for them to join us. It is Crossbar Ranch in Davis, Oklahoma. It has over 6,500 acres. Been around for a few years now. I went when it was really new. They didn't even have cabins yet. They just had some RV locations. But from my understanding, they have even more trails than they had back when I went. Their website says they have 200 plus miles of trails. But they have things, what I love about riding locations is when they have what I call attractions or points of interest you can go to. This one has Hell's Gate, Screen Door, Rock Face. I know it has a few others. It just can't.
I think Rock Face is the one that doesn't look so bad, but everybody says when you get there it's much worse than it looks.
Yeah, the videos doesn't do it justice, and it's really the wet creek you got to go through before you hit it that makes it more makes it more interesting. So I think it got Dead Man's Slide. We have things like that you can drive to, sit around and visit, and then attempt to go up it. Those are all fun places for me.
Yeah.
So now that is in Oklahoma, which we already have an Oklahoma trip underneath our belt we filmed, which was Lake Murray.
But I haven't been to Oklahoma, right?
Oh, true. Yeah.
So that would still be new for me.
Yeah. So that is the first location we're considering for one of our 2023 trips.
Yeah. Another one that we're thinking about is top trails in Alabama, and this is one that I think we've both been to Alabama before, but this would be a new park for us. And so anytime we can go somewhere that has like a kid track or something like that, I think it's a whole nother experience for the kids, because it's not the trail and the technical type stuff they're making decisions on. They can just go fast and jump things, and which is really what, I don't know about yours, but mine really want to do.
Yeah,
is
exactly.
Get some experience in that. So this place does have a kid track that you can play on. They have some other things like an archery range, but in terms of the park itself, it's got I think it's close to 100 miles of trails. So it's you can spend some time there and not do everything in one day. I mean, I guess you could if you're
a place like that is like small but mighty. I think they also have a hill climb called 5 Hills, which I think would be pretty cool to experience, in the day there. And then, some of that stuff looked pretty vertical. I'm seeing people consistently go up with, throttle control and enough momentum, but that might actually be a pretty good one.
Yeah. So, and that's, there's other places too, talking about other things around there that you can see and stuff. I'm pretty sure there's a NASCAR track there.
Yeah, Talladega.
And so I've been to Daytona, but I haven't been to Talladega before.
Oh, nice.
So that'd be pretty cool.
Nice. That would be cool. So the next one we're considering is called Georgia Off-Road Adventures. It's located in Union Point, Georgia. Now, if that does not sound familiar, its previous name was Durhamtown, which was well known. I'm not sure the history and story behind what happened. I know Durhamtown shut down for a little bit, and then Georgia Off-Road Adventures opened. So what I like about this is what I said last episode is I've never been to somewhere with a track. I know Top Trails has a kids track, but I don't think they have an adult size track. I mean, our machines, I've never been jumped. I've never jumped before. I'm not saying I want to be a big jumper, but I think it'd be fun to go fast. And,
it's one of those things, because we did have at Sandlot in Florida, we had a track that you could ride on, and so it's one of those things, the first jump you hit, you feel like stuff's flying out of your machine, you're just 15 feet in the air, and I'm not sure my back wheels came off the ground, but it felt that way. You know, you feel you hit, but you know, just the front hits.
Mommy, I did a wheelie.
Exactly. So you know, I'm like, somebody film me, and sure enough, I wasn't going very very high at all, but it feels that way, and then you start to get your confidence up. So it's a lot of fun to go somewhere that has a track.
So to me, I think that'd be a cool place to go. I mean, it's got history there. It's got a place where the kids can go fast, like Year One. It has a place where the adults can go fast. Now again, it only has, you know, they're saying they have about 100 miles of trails, but we've been to places before that say that. Even Lake Murray, we could spend 3 days there and not go down the same trail.
Yeah.
So even though it doesn't have, you know, 1,000 miles of trails, I think it'd still be a great experience.
Yeah. No, I agree. And somewhere that has a lot more trails in terms of miles is Rod Royal Blue, and so we've both been to Rod Royal Blue.
We have, yeah.
But it was before we started filming anything, and so that's one of the things we'd like to do is go back and film several days out there and get files and that kind of stuff. But Rod Royal Blue is cool to me because that's that's actually the first place I rode side by side.
Oh,
so
really?
I went up with my mom and my dad, and we had kids at the time with us, and so we took some turns, but I got to spend, you know, a couple days on the trails with my dad, and that was kind of when the addiction started. Like, okay, this is something I have to get into. I've got to buy a side-by-side because it was just the coolest thing. And so what's neat about there is they have, I think it's right around 600 miles of trails just in that trail system. Yeah. And so it's a cool place because there's all kinds of stuff. There's some easy stuff, there's some really difficult stuff, but you can go from, you know, like Rod Royal Blue Campground, there's a couple of towns you can go to. There's one right there in Pioneer. They got like a Mexican restaurant, you got a gas station you can fill up at, and then there's another one called, I think it's Rocky Top.
Oh, can you get to Rocky Top?
Yeah, I think so, because there's a Cracker Barrel that I've eaten at when we were riding side by side. So I'm assuming you're allowed to do that. We've done it. I don't know if you can still do that, but there was other side by sides there, so I'm assuming that's
what I like about Rod Royal Blue when we went was going into the Internal Flame.
Yeah,
that was a pretty cool experience. I'm not sure if it's still an attraction there that's open, but you know, when we went to Windrock, we went to it with the kids.
Yeah.
We went to Rod Royal Blue, and it's just a cool thing to go and go check out. So I wouldn't be opposed to Rod Royal Blue again, especially because I don't think the kids, my kids have not been.
My kids, Tyler's been, and it was when he was much younger, so he would remember it. Yeah.
So the next one on our list of, you know, top 6, we're trying to narrow down to 3, is Little Sahara State Park. Now, like we said in the last podcast, I've never been to sand dunes. Have you ever?
No.
Doug's never been in the sand dunes. You know, it's not a historic place like Glamis, but you know, it's got 1,600 acres of sand dunes, and apparently they range the dunes by feet, so you can go 25 to 75 feet high. That's
like overall elevation, or if it's just a straight up, you know, you go up this, you're going up 75 feet high.
Yeah. Because I know we've been on some pretty steep hill climbs, but you don't. Once you get in it, you're just in it.
Yeah, you're in it.
You know, you don't know how high you're hitting. So, you know, not having that experience in the sand. You know, do we go to a smaller place just to get used to it, to understand how it works?
Yeah.
Or, you know, do you pop that sand cherry on Glamis or St. Anthony, something like historic, big, you know, pretty.
That's a lot of drivers to get out there and realize you're set up all wrong, or it's going to be a miserable trip. So maybe that's a good idea. And for me, it's another state. So but yeah, that's definitely somewhere I'd like to try.
So that, I mean, if we did that, that would require new tires, and I don't even know how the kids' machines would act. So that's the other thing we'll have to consider if we consider doing sand this coming year.
That's true.
I mean, that's, you know, 8 months away or 6 months away. So,
Yeah.
but it's something for us to keep in mind.
Yeah. So this next one would be a new state for both of us. Well, technically, we got a little bit of the state to get gas in West Virginia.
Yeah, I guess so.
But technically, we've been there. But in
haven't
terms
rode
of
any
riding the
trails in
trail
that
system
state,
out
yeah.
there, and this one is Mine Made in Laverne, Kentucky. And so this is somewhere I want to go because my
Well, let me make sure they heard you right. Like, it is called Mine Made Park. Like,
Yeah.
it's complicated to say, easy to read, but
not Minute Made, not Man Made. It's
Yeah.
Mine Made.
Yeah.
But it's somewhere that, so my family, my grandparents grew up in eastern Kentucky, and so it's not very far from where they grew up, in the house I used to go during the summers and stuff. So I want to go out there for that part alone, but also this one's also got over 100 miles. It's 150 miles of trails roughly. And so they've got, I think everywhere we've looked at has cabins and RV spots to offer if you don't have a camper or if you just want to do cabins or however you want to do it. But so does this place. And it's somewhere that, like I said, that I'd like to go because it would be a new state in terms of trails for me, and I've got some history there nearby the park.
And I think what attracts me to that one is that's 63,000 acres.
Yeah.
It spans over. So I know 150 miles probably doesn't seem like a lot, especially like if you're going there for a week, but that's a lot of land to drive across.
Yeah.
So,
how does that work with that big of a property? I mean, it's just
correct.
close by.
Yeah.
What's it look
Or
like?
are you driving through actual mine shafts to get to the other side of the mountain instead of
That'd be
going
pretty
vertical
cool.
and down? And so we have no experience yet, but I mean, that's one we are also considering.
Yeah.
Well, those are our 6 we've narrowed down for our trips for 2023. Comment below on
If you've
where
been there, yeah.
Yeah.
This is where you need to go.
more places we need to consider going. But as we get closer, we narrow it down. We'll definitely loop everybody in, and maybe some of y'all can meet up with us. But comment below if there's places that are in those areas that might be pretty cool to go experience, where we can either put it on our list or maybe consider it for our trip for 2023. So thank you for listening to us. If you haven't subscribed either through the podcast or our YouTube channel, please do so. Show your support that way. Until next time, be safe on the trails.